Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be explaining how to use the lanes on the motorway. So I'm going to be driving on the M60 eastbound motorway. I'm joining at Junction 1 in Stockport and I'm exiting at Junction 21 in Chadderton. So we can see on the sign it's the fourth exit on the right, so I'm approaching in the right hand lane, and on the floor I can see it says the M60 eastbound. So I simply need to follow these road markings on the roundabout and it will take me to the destination. So at this point, the right lane now splits into two lanes, the middle and the right, so I choose to continue in the middle lane. So this isn't a lane change, it's simply a continuation of the same lane. The middle lane then spirals to become the left lane on the bend, so again this isn't a lane change, it's a continuation of the same lane. So I approached in the right hand lane and I exited in the left lane without changing lanes, and this is what we call a spiral roundabout. So I've now entered the slip road to join the motorway and I have to give way to traffic on the main carriageway, so I need to approach at a speed I can fit into a safe gap. So in the mirrors I can see the vehicle on the main carriageway is behind my car and we're driving at about the same speed, so it's safe for me to continue, and I also increase the speed to increase the gap. If I was to go slower this would make it more dangerous for the car behind. So now that I'm in lane number 1, it's really important never to go straight into lane number 2 or 3. Assess the road ahead and behind just to get a sense of your surroundings and to make a decision what you're going to do next. So I've now entered lane number 3, and the reason for this is that I'm making good progress at the speed limit and I'm overtaking the vehicles in lanes number 1 and 2. So when driving in this lane, you'll often get cars approaching behind driving over the speed limit. So it's important to remember that lane number 3 is not a fast lane, it's an overtaking lane with a speed limit of 70 miles an hour. I can see after the lorry there's an opportunity to get back into lane 2, and this will prevent the car behind from undertaking me on the left. I can also see that lane 1 is clear, so I move back into the left lane. So I'm driving in the normal driving lane. So I'm now going to continue in lane number 1 unless I have an opportunity to overtake. So I'm looking ahead for any slow moving vehicles. I can see that the car in lane 2 is driving slowly, so I use this as an opportunity to use lane 3 to overtake. So we now have some changes to the lanes. The left lane is becoming a slip road which rejoins lane 1. And there is an additional lane joining on the right from a different section of the motorway. So this means that traffic joining the motorway will be joining in the overtaking lane. So this can present a danger because traffic joining the motorway in the overtaking lane is likely to be travelling at a slower speed than the traffic that's already in lane 2. So I can see that the slower vehicles in lane 3 are about to change into lane 2, so I make an early decision to overtake and enter the third overtaking lane. Notice that the vehicle in front reacts late to this lane change and they have to use the brakes. Also notice the vehicle in lane number 1, they end up undertaking the vehicles that have just joined because they are travelling at a faster speed. So I'm now overtaking the 2 vehicles that have just joined the motorway, and I can see both of those vehicles in lane number 2. I can also see the vehicle behind that has just undertaken them and joined the second lane. I'm now looking to get back into lane number 2. You can see there's quite a lot of traffic in lane number 1, and then a vehicle from lane number 1 comes in front of the vehicle in lane number 2. This causes me to reduce my speed, but it wasn't safe for me to change lanes at the time. That vehicle has now gone back into lane number 1, so I'm expecting the vehicle in front to regain the speed. And I'm happy to continue and stay in this lane at the moment because I'm gaining on the vehicle in lane number 1. So again, I'm staying in lane number 2, I'm gaining on the vehicles in lane number 1. It's currently clear in lane number 3 if I needed to use that lane. So the vehicle in the left is exiting the motorway, and I've got another vehicle there in lane number 1. So I'm going to continue to stay in lane number 2 because I'm gaining on the vehicle in lane number 1. I also see that there is an extra lane now joining on the left. So I'm going to continue in lane number 2. I'm looking at the car that's circled, and I'm expecting that they might change into lane number 1. So I'm going to continue to overtake. So now that I've passed the vehicle behind, I'm going to be looking to get back into lane number 2. Up ahead I can see there's a gap in the gantry signs, so that means that there's a lane drop junction coming up, so I'm going to continue to stay in lane number 2. So the lane drop junction goes off to Ashton, junction 23. So I'm currently driving in the normal driving lane with the vehicle in front. So a great way of deciding whether to overtake is to assess the following distance to the vehicle in front. So at the moment I've got a safe minimum 2-second gap to the vehicle. However, I can see that the following distance is getting shorter, which means that they're travelling at a slower speed. So at some point I'm going to catch up to this vehicle. So I'm planning to overtake when the following distance gets to 2 seconds or less. So when the vehicle reaches the bridge, I'm going to say the phrase, "Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule," which takes about 2 seconds to say. Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. So because I'm on the limit of the following distance, I decide to change lanes and overtake. So the vehicle in front in lane 3 is also driving under the speed limit, so this is a great opportunity to use lane 4. So now that I'm driving in lane number 4, what might you expect that could happen from behind? Can you see the hazard in the mirrors? So we have an emergency vehicle approaching. So this means that I have to get back into lane number 3 to allow the emergency vehicle to pass safely. So it's really important to be assessing the mirrors regular whenever you're driving on the motorway, and always expect that an emergency vehicle could be approaching from behind at any moment. So I'm now driving in lane number 3 and have a vehicle in lane number 1. So I'm going to continue driving in lane number 3 so that I'm not changing lanes in the blind spot of the vehicle in the left. I can also see that the vehicle is now starting to change lane into number 2. So I continue past the blind spot. So up ahead I can see the vehicle in lane 2 has just changed into lane 3, and the reason for this is that there is a slow moving lorry in lane number 2. So the lorry is a slow moving vehicle and it's limited to a speed of 60 miles an hour. So I'm going to stay in lane 2 because I can see that I'm gaining on the vehicle. Notice the lorry on the left changes into the left lane quite late, and this is a sign that there might not be 100% of the exit. So I'm going to keep lane 1 clear until I've driven past the blind spot of the lorry, just in case they change back into lane 1. And you can see in the mirror that they do change back into lane 1. So I've now entered the lane drop junction to exit the motorway towards Chadderton at junction 21. So we're coming to the end of the motorway. We can see the end of motorway regulations and a new speed limit sign of 40 miles an hour. So I hope this video has been helpful and it's given you a greater understanding of how to use the lanes on a motorway. So thanks for watching, and please remember to like, comment and subscribe.